Hi everyone, welcome. Well, you're here today to listen to Pete talk about everything to do with Google Ads. Can't wait for this one, I have to say. We're following the normal format. What to say, really? We'll be doing a poll, straight away. You'll have handouts available, and you'll have, a video on demand as well. Can we just check that everyone can hear okay? I think before we went live, everyone seemed to be fine, but just to make sure, because I can handle that now. And Pete, just say a quick hello and then...
Hello, everyone. Yeah, looking forward to talking to you about Google Ads today. So yeah, lots of insights for you to share.
Pete's got so much experience. I'm really looking forward to this one, I have to say, but no spoilers from me. So we do want to find out a bit about you, if that's okay. So I'm just going to start a poll now. What is your primary goal for running a Google Ads campaign? Is it to increase website traffic, increase sales and leads, build brand awareness, or something completely different? Other. One response so far. Yeah. Sometimes it takes a little bit for it to kick in. Basically, at the moment, oh, right, great. I've got something to talk about now. So 27% are saying increase website traffic, 47% increase sales and leads, 27% saying build brand awareness. So that's good to know. Good to kind of get a feel for the audience, I have to say. Oh, and someone else has just come in as well. So 4% saying other. So that might be building brand advocacy and other things, to be honest. Okay. So we'll leave that one there. And then, okay. And just to find out what's your position in the company where you work, how, what do you do? So do you manage Google Ads yourself? No, not right now, and need to learn more. No, someone else manages this in our organization. So you're here to kind of just find out how it all works. Yes, but we use an agency or freelancer. That happens very often, especially in B2C. And yes, using this ourselves, advanced, but still need to know more. So you're probably here for a bit of a refresh and to tap into Pete's wealth of knowledge. No pressure, Pete.
No pressure.
So let's have a look then. 58% no, not right now, need to learn more. 17% no, someone else manages this in our organization. And then 5% yes, using this ourselves, but still need to know more. And 0% no one is saying that they're using an agency or freelancer. So that's quite interesting. So it looks like it's quite internal for people at the moment. So that's also good to know. And everyone's still saying morning, comrade. Right then, I think we're about ready to go, Pete. Trying to think of anything else. We will have offers at the end. And that's it from me. I'm going to be on support. Gurpreet's around as well. And I think some members of the paid team are here as well. So please ask any questions and then I'll put them to Pete at the end. I mean, Pete's been doing this so long that it's really worth asking those questions. And if you're worried about it, you can send me a private note as well. Okay.
Thank you. Right. Yeah, kick off then. So I'm going to talk to you today about Google Ads optimization tips. So probably a little bit about me to start with. So I've obviously got a lot of experience managing paid campaigns, 12 years, I think, and I've been doing digital marketing for quite a while as well. A kind of interesting anecdote is that my relatives do stand-up comedy. Sarah Kewis been on Mock the Week, but I've decided just to mock ads instead, or not mock them, but when I audit accounts, I always like to be truthful and give insight to people to try and improve it. So yeah, lots of experience, done programmatic, paid search, B2B, B2C, e-commerce, you name it. So yeah, a lot's changed in the Google Ads landscape, and we're expecting that to continue to increase, particularly with AI going forward. So yeah, we'll have to see where it goes in the next 12 months. Lots of chat about ChatGPT at this point as well. So Annika, obviously, we're established in 2007. We've got 23 staff, and we're basically a full service digital marketing agency, so we can help you with analytics, creative, and strategy. I think from a personal point of view, I always try and advise clients on the best paid strategy. So if you were to come to me and ask me about whether you should do paid search, I'd always try and persuade you to do upper funnel activity as well, because you need the two to achieve growth. Really, they work hand in hand and in parallel. So that's a bit about us. And then recent news is that we won 4 awards at the UK Paid Media Awards. I suggest you kind of check that out. I think we've got some info on our website. You can go to the UK Paid Media Awards site as well and read all about it. It was a great evening, and it's good that the guys have got recognised for delivering great work for clients. So so we've worked with quite a lot of well-known and some lesser-known brands. I think that there's some companies that Annika have worked with for close to 10 years. So we really like to try and build relationships with our businesses that we work with and help them grow. It's a kind of a two-way thing. That's the best way to get results, really. And here we are, lots of mug shots here. So I think I'm on there as well, bottom row, looking rather smart. I think that was pre-pandemic when we used to wear a shirt when you went to work, but working from home is the future now. So it is certainly a lot of agencies. So that's us. And so, I'm just going to talk to you about, obviously, the challenge. At the moment, we know the economic market is a little bit traumatic. We obviously had that mini budget last year. I won't go too much into politics, but it had a bit of a knock on the economy. So we're struggling a little bit, I think, with consumer confidence, which is what we're looking at on this graph. So it's dipped. The good news is that based on this data source, it's expected to be back going on in the right direction. I think obviously the end of last year was really quite a lot of negative press stories, but hopefully we'll see an upturn later in the year. So what that means is that we've got to just advertise a little bit smarter than before. So rather than necessarily cut back on the spend, and try and reduce and save money, I'd recommend that we try and maintain our spend, but we need to just try and work on spending it smarter. So we need to focus on maybe the activity in the account that's working, and probably learn quicker from areas that aren't working as well, and just move the budget around and try and maximize the return or the number of leads or sales that you get from it. So we probably need to be more strategic as well, to try and maximize the ad spend return, and also just think about the long-term value that customers have to your business, and think beyond the first sale or the first order, because you'll find that a lot of companies have customers that will buy multiple times. So think about the longer term, and you can better assess the performance of your ads. So we need to optimize our ad accounts more efficiently. So I'm just going to go through 5 different areas today. Obviously, there's so much you could talk about on Google Ads that it's quite a vast subject. So I've broken it down into 5 different areas. So we're going to go through some tips on what to do with the setup. So things like bids, budgets, strategies, and then targeting, who you're going after. It's not just about the keywords, it's also the audiences and where you're showing your ads as well. And then we've got the market and competition. So it's always a good idea to check out what other people are doing. So don't just look at your ad account in isolation. I'm sure you're doing this already. And then copy and creative is more important than ever. Does your messaging stand out from the competition? What are competitors saying? And then don't forget to look at your website. I'm sure you're also doing that, but what's the paid traffic doing when it hits the site? Is it bouncing? That's the things you need to think about. So obviously we want to achieve better results. So what sort of things should we be looking at? It depends obviously what your ultimate goal is. So if you're trying to drive traffic, like I think some of you said on the poll, you're looking at the bounce rate, session duration, and what the traffic quality is like on the site. And then if it's more about driving revenue, then you're looking for uplifting in that metric and the ROI, the return on your investment that you're getting from the ad spend. So we're going to go through obviously the setup bit. So I've got quite a few insights on that area. So if one of the things that you will find, particularly in the accounts that we look at and we see clients bring to us, is that sometimes you can overcomplicate the account structure. Google Ads is also moving towards smart, trying to push us towards simplifying our account structures as well, particularly with the introduction of broad match keywords. So they're basically saying set your your targeting and then let the AI manage things for you. But what we're looking at is you really need around 3,000 weekly impressions on a campaign to give enough of data to Google to be able to optimize it. And then obviously you need, or ideally, around 30 conversions within a 30-day window. So if you've got lots of campaigns that have got small amounts of conversions, it may be a good move for you to either consolidate them together, or potentially you could try using a portfolio bidding strategy where you put campaigns in a group and then you'll basically give them a set target, and the Google Ads will optimize towards it. And then obviously you're struggling with impressions on your campaign, you could try introducing dynamic search ad groups or new keywords, or if it's PMax, you could add in additional products to try and get the traffic volume up and the conversion volume up. So then obviously with Performance Max, so if you're an e-commerce business, you'll be familiar with this. There's just an example of how you might structure a campaign. So you're basically looking at try and break down the campaigns into logical structures. So if you're selling pet products, you probably have a pet ad group campaign, and then you'd have all the subcategories of the different products that you offer within that, and then you try and break down those ad groups or asset groups into different the individual IDs, so you can see the performance of what's going on there. So that would be our recommended approach for Performance Max. The same applies with search as well. Just break it down into logical groupings and try and group similar keywords together. I think that's what I'm looking at here as well. So yeah, this is probably just highlights the point I made earlier about just having too many campaigns with not enough keywords in to generate that impression volume that I was on about. You need to just watch out for if your campaign's got limited by search volume in the status column. So what that will show you is, in terms of Google's perception, you've not got enough keywords to generate enough clicks and sales from that. So think about whether you can expand the keywords in that campaign or that ad group and drive a bit more. And then one of the things that I do see in accounts is that people are still leaning on using the Google Analytics conversion, imported conversions. So you can usually tell from the conversion column, there'll be a little column saying where the source is. So what you're really looking for is you want to be having conversions that are on the website, and that means you're using the Google Ads conversion pixel. And the other advantage is it allows you to measure impression-based metrics as well. So if you're running video campaigns, you can see impression-based conversions, whereas if you're relying just on Google Analytics, you're not going to see that data. And the attribution is also different as well. So Google Ads conversion pixel will give you more credit from your advertising activity, which may help with your conversations around securing extra budget. It's all about proving the value of your activity, really. There's a link there if you want to delve into the settings in more detail. And then one thing you can also do is to use enhanced conversions. So enhanced conversions would basically give Google additional data points, such as email or address, to help match the conversions back to Google Ads clicks. So obviously with a privacy first world now, you may find that some users that don't accept the cookies on your website aren't tracked correctly. Enhanced conversions is a solution to try and close that gap. So by passing back the the additional information from your checkout or your order confirmation page to Google Ads, you're going to recover some more of that lost conversion data. So it's something I'd recommend you having a look at if you're not doing it already. And then really you want to be thinking about Google's automation. So obviously it's an AI first world at the moment, but I think in terms of what I've seen from Google's automated site links and assets, you can see it in the image in the bottom right corner. I think if it's a little bit small, but that's an example for like a fostering company that I was working with, and they had automated site links, and it crawled the whole site, and it basically put in site links around, report a road problem or become a counselor, and even the site links that Google creates aren't fully complete. So their recommendation is to do the title and the description, but their own AI is just creating these half-hearted attempts. So my recommendation would be to turn it off, and the steps on the screen will allow you to do that. Perhaps look in your account and view your site links and assets and see which ones are automated, and then it'll give you an idea of whether there's any issues there that you need to look at further. I'm not saying they're all bad, but they can be a little bit hit and miss. And then in terms of automated site links and assets, these are the ones I would recommend that you turn off. So site links, call outs, structured snippets, seller ratings, I would definitely recommend you keep that on. Longer ad headlines, particularly if you're, quite controlling on copy, or you want to get your messaging very precise. If you let Google do that for you, you may end up with a screenshot from your MD or your boss saying, what's this headline about? And then you can just say, well, it was automated. But if you want to avoid that awkward conversation, turn them off in the short term. I'm sure it will get better going forward. We're not quite there yet, I think, in terms of quality. Right. So obviously, with your Google Ads account, one of the things you really need to do is to be thinking all the time of how can I make things better. So one of the things you can do is just run campaign experiments. So you can test things like ad copy. So you could split test one ad version of ad copy against another and run an experiment on that. You could send traffic to different landing pages, bidding strategies, and then what you do by creating an actual experiment is you would allow the system to do a 50% test or whatever percentage you decide on, and then you get some statistical data on whether it's significant. So rather than you having to make the judgment call yourself on which one worked, you'll have the data behind it. So that's what I would recommend you test in your accounts, is just try run an experiment. And I think there's a webinar link on the right there, so you can see if you want to watch that and see more detail about how to really implement that and what the sort of impact will be. So yeah, also different bidding strategies. I think for brand campaigns, if you're running manual bidding on that, you might, and you're finding that your impression share is not as high as you want, or you're finding that competitors' ads are showing above you, you could try target impression share bidding strategy, and then see if you can increase your impression share and see if that works more effectively for you. You may also find that if your main goal is conversions, you could test and maximize conversion bidding strategy, or maximize conversions with conversion value as well. So that can help you see if you can get your brand impression share up. The same applies for your other campaigns in the account. So if you're starting out with a campaign and you want as many leads as possible, max conversions at the start with not necessarily a target CPA on it, or might be the way to go, just so you get enough data in to then get those 30 or maybe 15 conversions minimum per month. So then you can turn it on, set a target after that point. So yeah, it's about getting data in as quickly as possible, probably in the early stages of a campaign, and then using the automated bidding with targets after that. I would say avoid max clicks. It can be good to start off with if you really want clicks, but from someone who's spent a lot of time digging through the search term reports in Google Ads, you can find that it will literally show your ad for a broader range of terms that sometimes don't have very much intent. So I find that if you turn it off, the search terms with Google Smart Bidding will be more, intentful and more likely to convert. So that's my recommendation on max clicks. Don't run with it for a long time. There are better options out there. And then Performance Max, for those people running shopping type ads, you have in that platform, you've got the URL expansion. So what that will do is it'll show your feeds, and then it'll also send users to different pages on your site that it thinks match the search intent. And I've seen that can send people to quite strange places that you probably wouldn't want them to go to. Sometimes it will go to products that are out of stock, even blog pages. So, and obviously, if you want to control how much you spend of your budget on a particular subset of products, so if you're doing garden furniture, and then you find your garden furniture campaigns sending users to other places, you might want to really reconsider that one. And then obviously search terms, it's not all about keywords these days, it's all about audience as well, but you still need to be going through the search terms in your account. And the most efficient way to manage those is to use negative keyword lists, in my opinion. So I usually start with creating things like an information queries list, and then have phrases like, why, how do I, that sort of thing, and build it up that way. And then you can apply that to all of your campaigns or all of your search campaigns. And obviously the advantage of that is you won't have to think about adding those individually to each campaign. So it's a more efficient way to do it. And for those e-commerce people out there, you can also do Performance Max negative keyword lists, but you'll need to speak to your Google rep to get that implemented. So I've seen some people do that to manage the amount of brand traffic that is clicking on their Performance Max campaigns, because they want to segment generic terms and brand and measure them separately. So speak to your Google Ads account rep or agency contact, and they'll be able to get that implemented for you. You may also find that when you're browsing, you might see your Performance Max campaign showing for terms that you don't want. I do remember seeing a chat on LinkedIn about somebody selling dog food, and they posted pictures of their ads showing for cat food queries. So that might be one keyword you want to exclude if you are in that sector. So I don't know if you've all been in your analytics account this week, but there's now a rather depressing countdown timer marking the end of Google Analytics 3. And from a personal point of view, I've really I'm going to miss the Google Analytics 3 because it's got more features than the new one, Google Analytics 4. But really, if you've not done it already, you need to really be implementing GA4. There's quite an amusing video if you get time to watch this later on, the challenge faced by marketers to implement GA4. It's not quite as seamless or easy to implement as it could be. I don't quite know what they were thinking when they designed this new version. I'm sure once Google Analytics 3 is ended or sunsetted on the 1st of July, they'll make steps to improve it. But yeah, you need to get this implemented. You've not got long now. If you look on Google Trends, you'll also see a spike in interest in GA4 setup starting middle of last month, as people are starting to panic on getting this implemented. If you do also need help with setup, we do offer a setup service as well. A shameless plug there, but there are solutions to get you over the line with a setup. And then in terms of targeting, so obviously we mentioned keywords a few times, but you shouldn't forget the audiences in your account. So a good place to start is to go into the audience manager and see which audiences have been created, and then what sizes those audiences are as well. So you might find that some of them you created don't have enough. So you're looking at, for search campaigns, you need a membership of around 1,000, over 1,000 for it to be able to show. For display, it's 100. And also if you're auditing it, you can look at your data insights section to see what in-market segments users are in when they've been added to your campaigns. That might give you some ideas of additional in-market audiences you can add. And you don't necessarily have to, bid extra for them. If you put them in the campaigns as observation only rather than targeting, you'll gain data and insights on whether they're any good. It's also a good idea to look at the audiences that have been getting clicks. There might be some in your account that just haven't been working very well. Google will learn, the AI with smart bidding will learn which ones aren't working well, but you'll find in any account that there's a from my point of view, there's always a trade-off with the smart bidding and then Google's need to get money from you. So you'll find that there are always products that get more clicks on, particularly on shopping, that will continue to get clicks, even though the data suggests that AI should know better. So we can't rely too heavily on it yet. You need to use your judgment and always look in your account and fine tune and optimize it. So obviously this is a screenshot of all the different audience segments that you can have. So you've got affinity, so people are in interest, and then in market, whether they're looking to purchase, demographics, life events. So one thing I'd like to kind of draw your attention to that I think works quite well is search term-based audiences, so custom audiences. You can put in your best performing search campaign keywords into an audience group, and then layer that on top of your search campaigns, and that can really help. We've also got similar audiences, which is highlighted in yellow. That's going to cease to be a thing this month. Google's removing that from the ads platforms. You won't be able to create anymore. I think that they're still going to report on it for a couple of months after that, but that'll be going away. And then obviously GA4, there are different types of audiences you can do with that as well. So you can do e-commerce events, secondary events, and then predictive segments as well. That's a different audience type you can add. So this platform will anticipate people are more likely to purchase in 7 days. And other criteria. So one thing you can do in Google Analytics and GA4, which is where we need to be thinking now, is you can look at, if you're tagging your Facebook campaigns, for example, with a UTM source, or you could even just target the Facebook traffic from the social reports. You could create an audience on that and then show those users different ad copy messages on Google search. You could also add them into a PMAX campaign, or you might have a display remarketing campaign running as well. So you can leverage audiences from different platforms outside of the Google ads interface or ecosystem. So it's a way of having a more of a joined up marketing message for the people that have engaged with the other traffic sources and been to your site before. I do find that can work quite well. And then obviously, if you've got YouTube campaigns running, you could do video viewers. A few more ideas on the slide as well. So mentioned this already, but yeah, here it is in action. So you can just create a new custom audience segment and give it a name, and then pick either people with interests or purchase intentions, and then add in new keywords. I think 20 is probably the recommended number that Google suggests. You'll find as you type them in the box, it will suggest more below. Some of them that you type in that have got searched, if you've done your Google Ads user keyword planner, they won't show up on that list. You can still add them. If you've added them and then you come back later and they're grey, it means that they can't be used for your custom audience. But I'd recommend picking your best keywords, adding them in, and just testing it and see where you can go with it. And it'll give you an indication of the audience size on the right hand side as well. So obviously, understanding the current market conditions for your business is very important. So there's various tools that you can use to do that. So you've got Google Trends data. I mentioned earlier, you can look at the interest in GA4 at this point. But if you are selling, dining furniture, you can see that the demand is lower during the summer months and then really peaks during the winter season. So, and you can also, if you put in like a 2-year period, you can compare the search demand this year versus last year, and then if you're having conversations around why is performance lower, you can see that there's less search demand, and that will give you a clear some indication of what's happening. And then Google Ads Keyword Planner, which is where you can really look at the seasonality of and the volume, so you can see car charge points at home is quite seasonal, and a lot of them are as well. So use those tools, and then there's a wealth of other tools you can use to answer the public. I think there's lots of data on questions that people have asked. I think that's a paid for service. Google Auto Suggest, so in the search results, you can there's prompts on what people are searching for, even as you type what's coming up. SEMrush is a great tool as well. You can get organic and paid insights, and then Ahrefs is similar. You'll get a lot of keyword data from there, and then SEO Monitor. I think there's a webinar you can watch if you want to tap into that and gain a bit more data. It's probably worthy of a webinar on its own, and clearly we've already done that one. So you can also integrate your keywords with keyword research with SEO. So you can link your search console data to Google Ads. I think I may have a slide on that later, but you can look at search console data, see what you're showing for, and you might find keyword ideas from there. And as I mentioned already, Ahrefs is another platform where you can really see what you're currently ranking for and what competitors are ranking for, and get ideas on where you can go next with your ads activity. And then Performance Max, it is a little bit of a black box for those businesses that are e-commerce. You can also run it for search as well, but there's now more insights that you can see. So you can see there's types of keywords that you're appearing for, the conversion values, and the kind of search volume, and which asset groups have been matched to these keywords. It gives some really interesting insights as well. So I think sometimes you'll find you're being matched against the wrong things as well, which is quite interesting. So I had a client recently that does matting, and their brand was being matched for nursery related queries, not to do with matting, according to PMax Insights. So yeah, interesting. But you can see what you're showing for, and then you can see if your clicks matching the increases in demand. So you might find that there's an increase in demand, but your clicks are flatlined. So there's more you can do to capture that demand by maybe adjusting your bids or other things. Yeah, so this is linking Search Console with Google Ads. So if you link the two together, you get some additional reports in the platform to allow you to see, the overlap of your ads and then your organic performance. It's quite easy to set up if you've already got Search Console in place. So I recommend do that. So the more data points you've got in your ads accounts, the better, really. So market and competition. So this is obviously where you're looking at your what's going on in the landscape. So you can't just create your ads in isolation, and because there are factors all the time that will impact on what visibility. So you might find your impression shares great one month, and then a new competitor comes on and starts to eat away at your market share. So there's things you can do to learn about what's going on. So you've got obviously auction insights in Google Ads. There's also Google Ads Transparency Center, so you can see now competitor ads, and then again you've got Answer the Public, similar tools but for different purposes. And then SEMrush allows you to gain insights on competitors, and SpyFu as well. And then if you really want to kind of look at how websites have changed depending on whether they've been indexed by this tool, you can look at the Internet Wayback Machine, which is quite useful as well, particularly if your competitor's got a new website, so you can see what's changed versus the old one. And this is an example of SimilarWeb competitor research. You can really understand the size of your market over time, you can see, the percentage of traffic and whether you're growing and whether, your competitors are growing at a faster rate and how that's varied over a period. And then you can see the impacts from the traffic sources that where the traffic's coming from, and whether they've increased their spend on paid activity. So it's a great place to gain insights really on what's going on. You can see obviously if they've decided to invest more in video or maybe search. So yeah, I mentioned already, may have seen this, but from Google Ads, I don't know if you can see it here, but you've got 3 dots next to the ads. So now if you click on that, you can get straight to information about the business. And then there's a link here to click, view the ads, and then you can get to a page and you can scroll down. You can continuously scroll and it'll keep loading more and more ads. So if you want to really see what their messaging is and how it compares to what you're offering, that's a good place to start. And you can see the visual assets from things like Performance Max or discovery campaigns as well. So it's a good place if you want to dig into more detail about what your rivals are doing. And then impression share, we know that obviously if you try and optimize too much for a cost per lead or a cost per target ROAS, then what you're going to see is potentially your impression share dip. So a good thing you can do is in the Google Ads dashboard itself, you can actually just set up reports to measure that over time for your campaigns. You can see which campaigns impression shares going up or down. Also, remember to exclude the last 2 days, as it mentions on as well, because there is a 48-hour lag, so your impression share will always look bad for the last 2 days. Looks like you've disappeared off the face of the earth, but it's just the data lag. And then competitor search campaigns. This is something I would recommend having a look at. It can be slightly contentious because you could end up starting a war with your rivals. But if you're noticing that they're already doing it on your brand, then it's something you might want to test to see if you can distract people from choosing that business that they're looking for. So one way to try and go under the radar is to exclude the business locations of the competitors that you're going against, so they may then not see that you're directly advertising against them. If they're pretty savvy, they might also see it in the search impression share reports in Google Ads, but you're less likely to be seen, at least within their locality. It can get quite expensive over time, so expect to see the CPC costs creep up and a low click-through rate. One thing you could also do is to try and make your ad copy as relevant to their terms as possible. So try and pick competitors that have got product names or service names, and then you're less likely to be hit with low ad relevance scores and higher cost per click. And then remember to keep refreshing your copy. You could also try putting in offers to try and dissuade them from going to those competitor sites and coming to you instead. What are the reasons why they would choose your business over the one they were originally looking for? So copy and creative, we've got lots of options here. So I mentioned earlier, it's really important to kind of invest the time in this. So if you've got ads that have been running for a long time and you've not changed them, then now is a good time to have a look and refresh what you're doing. So one thing you can do is obviously add image extensions on your ads. So that's square and landscape images. So you can basically try and make your ads as visually strong as possible. You'll see this sparingly, I think, but when it does show up, it does look good. I think if you can have a lifestyle image of your product or service, you can add multiple assets per ad group. I would suggest trying to add relevant images at the ad group level, because they're more likely to be relevant to the query that the user is looking for. So if you had a campaign on suitcases, if you've got a particular suitcase that in a particular color and an ad group on that, make sure that the image matches, so as relevant and tie it back to the original query as possible if you've got the time. You can also use Google Ads dynamic image extensions, which sometimes can save a bit of work for you if you've got a decent image on your page already. But if you want that complete control, just add the manual image extensions. So make your ad copy as good as possible. So obviously tips here are just make sure you've got your keywords in the headlines. The number of accounts that I've looked at that don't do this, and then you go into the responsive search ads interface and it says add in keywords. It's a no-brainer. So make sure you do it. Obviously, depending on how many keywords you've got per ad group, it will be easier or more difficult. And sometimes Google will insist that you add in keywords to your headlines that are too long to fit the character limit. So that's a great recommendation, Google. Thank you. So yeah, try and add keywords in the descriptions. I like to pin them as well, so at least I know they're going to show. So I find that does get a better click-through rate. But if you wanted to really split test it, you could try and add with pin descriptions versus one without. Get obviously USPs and then trust signals. If you've got great reviews on Trustpilot or you're 5-star rated, mention it in your headlines. Your competitors will be. And then just look at what competitors are saying. I think I've mentioned that already. Just also for remarketing audiences or remarketing campaign, you could tailor the headlines to match what it is you're trying to get them to come back and do. So if you know they've been to a particular area of your site or they got to the checkout, you could try showing them an offer. That's one example. And then in terms of Google Ads relevance scores, you should try and play the relevance game as well. So if you pin too many headlines, you'll find your ads are rated as average or poor. And why that matters is ad relevance is a component of quality score. So that's something you need to be aware of. So even if your ad's got a poor rating, one easy thing you could try is unpinning it and seeing if that improves the relevance, and then see if there's then an uplift in performance. So quality score is very important. So I'd suggest you can create a Google Ads dashboard or report on this. So I'd suggest you do that and then just monitor how much spend you're driving through quality score. So quality score will directly impact how much you pay per clicks. The higher your quality score, the more likely you are to pay a lower bid, and the more likely you are to show up. So review spend and then make steps to improve keywords at a low quality score. There'll be keywords in your account that just have bad quality score, and you don't be afraid to pause them if you can't make improvements to them, because there are other, probably if you're limited by budget, there'll be other keywords that you can go after that are performing better. So just cut out the weeds, I think. And then ad relevance and click-through rate. So ad relevance is how closely your ad matches the intent behind the user search. And it's also how relevant your ad is to the keywords so you need to put your keywords in the ad copy and then make sure it matches the intent. And then expected click-through rate is Google's anticipated click-through rate for your ads. And both of these are components of quality score. So you need to pay attention to this. So another thing you can do is set up a Google Ads report to show how much spend you're sending through below average, or not yet rated ads. So you can see this particular example, there's areas for improvement. And if you monitor this over time, you'll be able to see where you can make incremental improvements. And then Google Ads Dynamic Ad Customizers is another way to make your ads stand out. So you can add things like keyword insertion, countdowns for offers, locations, and there's some steps that you can implement to do this. So if you've not tested this before, it's something you can add to your ads and see where you go from there. You may expect to see changes to your click-through rate with these. Just review whether before you added them or afterwards there was any statistically significant data and what you can learn from that. And then match types. So Google's preference at this point is that you would continue to use broad match, because that will give you the widest reach. But I would say it's a bit of a Marmite moment. It can either work really well or not very well at all. So if you do implement it, I would suggest testing it and see where you're going with it. So exact match is more likely to match to the phrases that you've put in. Phrase matches will show for search term combinations, so it will show for any search term containing the keyword phrase in the order. I am finding that it's a bit broader now than it ever was. So yeah, I think so I'd go with exact term phrase and test broad carefully, particularly if you don't want to shock in terms of performance. It can go really well, as I mentioned, but if you were to just switch to full broad, I think you would probably be in for certainly an awkward period while the system learns, and probably a spike in spend as well. And then ad copy, so target keyword in the headline and description. I think this is a little bit repetition, but yeah, make sure you've got clear calls to action. Not mentioned that yet. And then if you've got prices and promotions, you could try adding that in the copy. Check out what the competitors do, and if they're doing this already, then you probably need to try and do it. I did read quite a few posts on Google recently that you shouldn't necessarily focus on price at this point. You should focus on obviously the value proposition. If you're a higher quality, more premium product, then try and think about that messaging as well. And you can create different ads and split test those and see where you go. So yeah, and these are examples of some of the different tactics. So you could create emotive ad copy and try and appeal to the, what they're interested in. You could focus on reviews, urgency, like if there's an offer that's going to end, or a service that's time critical, but put in how fast you can respond, and then obviously price. Trust signals is obviously similar to reviews, but obviously if you've been established for like 100 years as a business, or you've really value the customer service that you offer, then and the ability that somebody can ring up and talk to someone, then that can be worth pushing as well. And don't forget to promote your expertise. So for shopping people, what you can do as well is you can improve your shopping feed. So you might find that you've using a platform like Magento or Shopify, and the quality of your data that comes out isn't great. So you could either change it on the website, which might be a big ask, or you can use feed rules to do that as well. So you can rewrite titles. You can either also, if you've got the cost data for your product in the feed, you can even do mathematical calculations. You could create a custom rule for cost, and then from that you could then create a margin field by doing the calculations in Merchant Center rules. It's more sophisticated than you might imagine. So yeah, there's lots of things you can do that with that. And then you can also, with supplemental feed, you can add in loads of extra data. So this is essentially my recommendation would be a Google Sheet. So you could just have a column with a product ID and then the name of the attribute that you want to change. So if you've wanted to rewrite your titles, you could try doing that. Or if you wanted to redo descriptions or add in brand information, the choices are endless, really. It depends on how far you want to go with it. Ideally, you would add this information into your platform, but that's not always possible. So it's an extra way of doing it. And then I think we've got a webinar on this coming up soon. So we're going to be talking through ChatGPT. So keep an eye out for that one. But you can use ChatGPT prompts to generate ideas and ads for your page content. So you see the prompt at the top: write some titles and headlines for responsive Google ads for a Weber gas barbecue, and there it is instantly. So if you're, it's going to be way more efficient potentially than you trying to come up with ideas yourself. At least this is a starting point that you can then work on. I would recommend, obviously you need to rewrite it and double check it, but it's going to save us time in the future. I think AI is coming for our jobs. So just have to embrace it and work smarter and use the time that we've got on other things. So the last section really is just obviously your website. So this is again another topic where you could spend your entire could spend over an hour talking about it. But what you really want to be looking at is how the traffic engages with your website. So what are the people that are clicking on your ads doing? For those of you that are focused on traffic already, you'll be doing this, but which landing page are they arriving on? What's the bounce rate? What's the add to basket rate for e-commerce? How are they going through multiple pages on the site? So if they start on your landing page, do they progress further? Do they get a bit lost? So you can use GA4 and GA3 while it's still there to kind of really tap into this. And then you've got also heat mapping software, which you can use to monitor how people are scrolling on your site, what they're clicking on, how they're engaging it, and the exit points. That's a great place to start if you really want to see how people are using the site. I think there's two options there. You've got Microsoft Clarity and which is free, and then tools like Hotjar that offers a bit more functionality that's a paid for service. So yeah, make sure that your landing page is aligned to the ads that you're creating. I find sometimes that, particularly with e-commerce, that the keywords we're bidding on don't appear on the page. And it's really simple. If you add a little paragraph of extra copy, you can improve the landing page relevance. And landing page relevance is a component of quality score. So that's definitely worth doing. You need to make sure that you've got calls to action at the top, middle, and bottom. Don't just rely on them scrolling back up to click on the contact button. You'll find that your conversion rate will go up if you have subtle nudges to drive them towards those goal actions that you want. Make sure you've got clear, concise navigation, and then check out your load times. If you're driving ads, particularly from mobile devices, to a page that takes over 2 seconds to load, then you're going to be hemorrhaging traffic because people just won't wait. And if it's over 5 seconds, then you really are in trouble. So yeah, look at the detail and see what the data tells you. And then landing page experience scores, I've mentioned, this is a component of Google Ads. You can create a dashboard, a report in the platform to show you what spend percentage you're driving through different landing page experience classifications. And then if you were to add in your page column here, you could pull down which pages are poor and which pages aren't, and then that gives you an action list of things to go through. And this is going away, but another thing I like to do is you've got the Google Ads conversion paths in Google Analytics, so you can navigate to top conversion path report, add in a secondary dimension for your campaign, a source medium path, and then what you'll see is the different data sources that users are going through. So you might find that people are clicking on your ad first and then going direct, and that may help give you some insights on which campaigns are getting clicks before you turn them off, so or cut back the spend. So you might find that this campaign is great for first clicks, but doesn't necessarily drive the last click conversions in Google Ads. You'll get some attribution within Google Ads platform as well for this, but it gives you a bit of extra insight and data. So I've done a lot of talking, but to wrap it up, I think we're basically, you need to look at where you can make improvements. Don't think too big about changing everything. Just do it campaign at a time, and then make sure you've got clear goals and keep working to improve performance. So if you make changes to one campaign with the ad copy, take the time to review what the impact was. Have you seen an uplift in click-through rate? Has the impressions gone up? Has it generated more inquiries? Yeah, then just look beyond your campaigns at competitors on your own website, and then just keep focusing on the different areas. I think it's, even if your account's performing well, there's always things you can do to improve performance. So yeah, good luck, and hopefully we'll see you on the next webinar. So I think that's it from the slide point of view. If you've got any questions at this point.
Hey,
Hello.
Pete, really enjoyed that. Thank you very much. We have had a couple of questions. So Erin has asked, one of our franchise partners is interested in setting up a Google Ads campaign, but want to understand how best to measure return on investment. As the website is for their restaurant and it isn't an e-commerce site, they want to drive they want to use the ads to drive people to their physical restaurant. What would be the best ways you recommend of doing this to measure ROI?
Right. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can measure, obviously, if you set up a conversion action on the website. So if they were like booking a table, then potentially you'd have a number of leads that you've proven that you've delivered, and then from those you could try and calculate of somebody who comes to the restaurant, how much on average do they spend, and in that way you could calculate how much are those leads worth to the business. So you can have like an average order value, and then potentially you could pass that data back into Google Ads. So you could say, for this conversion action on the site, it's worth X amount, and that way you could start to measure what the value is worth of the traffic. I hope that makes sense.
Could you do things via like different offers as well, like discount codes and things like that?
Yeah. So if you could use that to increase the conversion rate. So you could basically just get people to sign up for an offer for particular products, and then I suppose, or if it was like a tea and cake for £10 and they're using that discount code, you get really more accurate information on the value they're generating from your ads.
Yeah, I'm quite a foodie, so that's why.
Right.
And I like my offers. So there was a question from Carol about how exactly you leverage audiences from other sources like Facebook audiences based on traffic in Google Ads. And Holly came back talking about UTM parameters and remarketing audiences, and also about using Google Analytics and sources and mediums and campaigns and things. But I don't know if you've got anything else to add, Pete.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a great answer from Holly. I think
it was.
You make sure you've tagged your campaigns with UTM parameters, and then when they arrive in Google Analytics, you can then create an audience based on people who match those parameters. So that's what I would recommend. And then you can pull it back to the campaign if you've got enough traffic from the campaign to hit those audience limits. So like for display, it was 100, and search is 1,000. So it might take you a while to get some of the audience lists to the right size, but yeah, you can do that over time.
I just want to put an offer out there as well. Holly, who is head of paid media operations, she's absolutely amazing at what she does, and she's currently offering free PPC consultations. So it's all via Calendly, and if you're interested, just click on the book now CTA there. And then also, just like the last webinar with Zach, this is also Pete's debut webinar. So I just want to try and get some reviews in for him, because he's competing with Zach. And they sit close to each other when we're back in the office. So we want to make sure that the rivalry is close, shall we say, or as Pete probably wants to win. So but yeah, I'll also put the Google one in there as well. Always good to get the Google ones for local SEO. And just also to say, the next webinar, I did have a question about this, will be with our paid social director, Rachel Cryan. She's just coming up with a title, but if anyone wants anything specifically, she's going to be working on that for next week. So and the video will come out later. Obviously, I think that's everything really. 9:59. Anything else to add, Pete? Can't thank you enough. Really enjoyed that.
Thanks for watching. If you've got obviously any questions, just feel free to get in touch with us. We do offer strategy, not just management as well. So yeah.
I'm just going to paste in. Someone's asked me to repost in about where to find our resources. And I've put also about our podcasts, which are really fantastic as well. They give a very different slant to what we talk about in the webinars. So it's definitely worth, if you're at the gym or going for a walk, have a listen to that. And someone's asked me to send out Holly's slide out again. Yeah. I thought she'd be in demand. Oh, and we've had one quick question. I run Google shopping campaigns for e-commerce. Main goal is sales. Target is ROAS. Recently, my ROAS went down while at the same time my optimization rate went up. Is there a correlation, Pete? That's Matthew.
Yeah, potentially. It depends what you've changed. So obviously, if you've applied recommendations that improves your optimization rate that lowered your ROAS target, you might find that your ROAS has dropped. So yeah, maybe book a consultation and we can give you some more insights on that. But yeah,
Okay.
Also look at your impression share as well, see what's going on, see whether there's other people coming in. Oh, if it's Pmax though, you won't be able to do that, which is very annoying. But yeah, we can probably catch up offline and maybe give you some advice on that.
Thank you so much, Pete. You can really tell like you've got such a wealth of experience and things that you've done, and I really loved the approach today. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and you're getting so much positive feedback, so that's all good. So we'll be seeing you next week, hopefully. As I said, it's our paid social director, Rachel Cryan, talking about paid social. So see you then, and have a lovely long weekend. I have to say, I'm quite getting into these long weekends. So I shouldn't say that. I think Darren's on here.
Right.
So yeah. Okay. Right then. We'll close now. And any questions, you know where we are. Okay. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.